Devin here, Will. Will, how you doing?
Not great, Bob.
Great, Bob. All right.
I've been, like I was just telling you before this started, I've been sick. Every time I get a cold now, it lasts like a week longer than it should for the normal piece of it, and then I have this trailing cough that seems to go for like weeks on end. So I'll try to be fast and active with the mute button if I feel one coming on, but bear with me if I get choked up while I'm talking today.
Well, we got the Nerd Tour, we got B-Ball, we got the CFP. Starting off with the Stanford game and NC State's offensive explosion, 59 points, ACC game high for the Wolfpack program, 59 points.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's kind of crazy.
That kind of shows you, doesn't that kind of just like agree with our whole point that it's been really damn boring at times to watch us play? I was shocked when I heard that. I mean, I think, was the ECU game more? That one where we really ran it up on them?
It was something around the same score, but not being a conference game.
This must have been the first time that Dave actually thought his defense could not hold someone back, right? Like, I mean, they kept the dogs in for a long time before they put in Lex Thomas at the end, who quickly rewarded us with a wonderful interception.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to go back and pull. That might be too much. Yeah. No, I'm not going to do it. I think the EC game was in the 60s, but I don't remember. I just remember doing it. It was the same, along the same lines. But to me, well, let me ask you this: is this the type of offensive performance you expected to see all year?
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming Stanford's defense is bad, but
so is Wake's and Syracuse's. So.
Yeah, and I think it maybe kind of helps going from a really tough defense like they did with Cal to something that was much lesser than that. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of honestly like this was the defense I expected this year paired with the offense I was hoping for this year, where it was like we just got to outscore them, whatever. I'm not going to like let it get me riled up as the game goes on. And somehow, once again, I'm watching a team like bully ball us in the red zone while we seem to never be able to do that kind of thing. But it was also a game.
Red zone scoring is kind of crazy. Like inability to short yardage punch it in.
I know, but man, I'm really not trying to be an asshole about this, but we went in, we scored. Then I think it's the second time we came down there, the time we got held to the field goal. There was like 3 plays in a row where it was like a bunch of backups were in. Baldwin was in, DeMarcus Jones was in. And I'm just sitting there going, and Waters, which I personally don't think he's the problem. I think it's when you pair him with a bunch of people like that. But so we do that, right? We get stuffed. And then I was like, as long as we can stay like 15 yards away from the end zone, I feel like we can score a touchdown easily. Like, sure enough, that kept happening. But I said, like, going into the next drive, I was like, boy, it would be nice if you just left the starters in the red zone. Let's see what happens. Because I think he put, like, a guy in Baldwin. They're probably like, hey, he's really good at blocking or whatever. He's more physical. I know he's on special team. So I think they're thinking, let's bully this one in. And then, of course, it doesn't work. And I just don't understand. Why do you make it so hard on yourself? Spread it out, man. What are getting 11 bodies in a condensed area? How is that going to benefit you when you have put in 2 to 3 less athletic players as well on your side? How's that going to work? Usually.
Speaking of subbing out, Kamen Smith came in for Tim McKay, I think it was, and immediately Smothers broke off a long run, and then Waters broke off a long run. 2 longest runs I've ever seen under Dave Dorn. I think the Waters one was the second longest in school history at 94 yards. And
yeah, that was dope.
Both of those plays are, again, what you expected to see this year. To me, it's kind of weird because they've been talking about Kamen Smith since he got to campus. Oh, he's it. He's going to be the next big offensive lineman, and hasn't been able to get on the field until 8 games into this season. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, sure. I would note, like, the key in those big run plays, right, is there's been a few times this year where all the guy had to do was make someone miss, and he was probably going to have that run. So it was nice to finally see it come together. Hollywood being Hollywood is great. I love seeing it for Waters. He had a really good rushing touchdown earlier in the game, I thought. Just nice and physical. It's kind of what you want to see. So, this was this is just what I've wanted to see. It's just, you can be more than one-dimensional. Let's see if it actually translates beyond this. I feel like Duke has been doing better defensively. I don't know what to expect with Georgia Tech and things like that. So, it may not look the same after this, but, at least you're beating the bad team, brutally.
Yeah.
And fighting, every time special teams was out there.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back and say that I was on the field pregame with my family, my boys and my wife, from some Savage Wolves NIL passes. And we were in the tunnel when they came out. Smoke's coming down. The smoke's coming down to my kids. And oh, this is crazy. And they're getting high fives, whatever, for the players coming out. It was super cool. And I don't think enough people know that those are opportunities that you can get with the NIL programs. And it was awesome. It was, my kids will never forget that. It was
my God, are you a convert?
No, I not at all. I hate the NIL and the whole thing, but I'm not opposed to promoting it.
Well, I think that's been my biggest thing. That on-field experience for Clemson was awesome. I think everyone should have the opportunity to get at least the opportunity to bid on that type of thing.
Yeah. And it's super common.
It's really cool.
I was surprised at how many others.
Yeah.
Pack of Wolves sent an email and was like, well, we have these. Nobody claimed them. You're like, what? What are people doing? But nobody knows about it. So
Everyone's
you do know about now to keep an eye out for it because
yeah,
those opportunities are. It was legit, man. It was super cool.
Yeah, donate a little bit of money, get the access to it. I think it's worth it. And like you said, it's like getting to share that experience with someone, which is the best part. I did it with my wife. That was really special for her. That was the first state game she ever went to. We'll probably just make it the last, just to be safe. Since I cursed us by going to the UVA UNC game last weekend or 2 weekends ago too. Yeah, I'm glad they got to experience that.
CJ Bailey's looking better. I got this photo. It was one of the CBS writers put this list out. And I've got this thing texted to me at least 12 times in the last few days. And it's QB Power Rankings and CJ Bailey at number 6. And
overall, in the nation?
Yeah, Cam Moore, Jackson Dart, Curtis Rourke, Dylan Gabriel, Diego Pavia, CJ Bailey. And
nah, dog. I love CJ, but nah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And everybody's tagging on with, well, how much is it going to cost? And we'll get there because somebody asked a question about it. But CJ Bailey's playing better, and he played really good this game. And if you just look at the box score, you're like, holy crap, that was fantastic. 18 for 20, 234, 3 tutties, 98.4 QBR. Just looking at those things, which I'm sure a lot of people are doing, great game. I think he's getting better. He's got a bright future. I'm happy. I like watching him. He still misses the middle of the field. He misses deep balls. KC was wide open once or twice, and Bailey didn't have his eyes downfield, whatever, and maybe left the pocket too early a couple of times. And that's fine. You expect that from a freshman. I'm not putting him 6th on this list of QBs. He's probably top 20 of Power 5 QBs. But 6? I thought that was crazy.
And it's based on current, not just upside, right?
Yeah. Players on bye weeks omitted, so there's that. But after week 10, it's QB Power Rankings. I'm just like, no, come on. Man.
Well, maybe QB play has been bad. I don't want to take away from that performance or him. I think he's the future. I think there's more of that game in him, I guess, if that makes sense. He's capable of that. He was, timing was a lot better this game. There were a couple he threw behind guys. And like you said, the fumble's not probably included in those numbers, right? There's still mistakes that have been made. I think he even had a quote after the game was I'm still trying to process a lot of stuff. I can't remember what it was, but since basically that. He's like, I'll pull the trigger when I'm comfortable pulling the trigger, basically. I think he was explaining that crossbody throw for a touchdown. So, yeah, I mean, the future's, like, super bright with him. If he's top 6 or top 10, like, that's cool. Kind of just makes me say, like, God, I wish we'd seen it sooner, but is what it is. How'd you like seeing your boy McCall on the sidelines? Coach McCall. Coach McCall.
Yeah, my youngest is also named Grayson, and he really wanted to get a high five from Grayson McCall, but he never got anywhere near us, and it was too chaotic. But cool seeing him out there. He was throwing warm ups with the players. He was doing those things. Had a headset on,
Yeah.
And you got to feel like that's the next path for him, is probably into coaching if he wants to. He's always seemed like that kind of kid. Yeah, super.
Do you think that's someone that we can carve out a spot for? Or do you think he's going to go look for Jamie?
Good question. I don't know. Obviously, everybody likes him. You only hear good things. Even off the record, you don't hear anything bad about him.
Quarterback play looked really good this week with him as Coach McCall. Like,
yeah. I think having a guy experienced like that can relate to the CJ Bailey is probably going to be invaluable.
Honestly, if you told me that we were in between hiring Grayson McCall or keeping Roper as a quarterback coach, I feel like I would be like, let's go with McCall.
Yeah, absolutely. I would too. Give me the upside or give me the risk. I'm all for it.
Like I take a flyer. I mean, I still feel like Roper's someone that I feel like could be helping in the background. Like, you don't have to completely get rid of him. I think they like him. But that might be one that's worth taking a flyer on.
Receiving core, Justin Jolly 4 receptions, Wesley Grind 4 receptions, Keene Jackson 3 receptions, KC 4 receptions. I mean, that's what we wanted to see. Like, all these things are what we wanted to see, right? You would think, spread it around, get it to the playmakers, let them make plays.
Yeah, and go to Jolie when you're in a bind.
Yeah, like he said, throw it to me, throw it up, I'll get it.
Yeah, like that's the thing is, like, when you're kind of spreading around and you're like getting it to all the great players, great. Like, again, I still feel like there was some efficiency lost in this game with some, random personnel choices. Like, I don't know. I get it. Like, you're trying to give some guys some play, just reward them or whatnot. But it's like, it always just drives me nuts when I see Baldwin or Coit just come in at like kind of a critical time, and I'm like, man, can we not get like a couple more scores up before we bring these guys in? Like, you probably had the sense as the game was going on that you didn't need those guys that early, but I guess coming out of the bye week, they maybe thought they saw some stuff that was more productive than they got in the game and probably weren't happy with it. I felt like they got that red zone sequence that frustrated everybody. They didn't do that again that I recall. Like, they were a lot more aggressive and spread out. So maybe that was a teaching moment again.
The other thing that stood out to me in its last couple of games, I was sitting there thinking about it, watching Smothers run and how tough he is to bring down for a little guy is the antithesis of Jordan Houston, who you would sneeze on as I'm watching Will sneeze.
Yeah.
And he would fall over. And it's I think Houston had the speed and he was shifty, but do you touch that guy and he goes down? Smothers, you got to freaking hit him to bring him down. He is unbelievable for a little guy, how tough he is to bring down. Love watching him run.
Yeah, his upside is phenomenal. Again, it's like one of those things where it felt like the second he got the ball this year, he did something special with it, and you're kind of like, again, it probably doesn't change the outcome of Tennessee or Clemson for that matter, right? Like, it doesn't matter in those games really, but you just start looking at it, you're like, that guy's special. Like, that's, again, we got to keep a lot of guys around. Like, you're starting to finally see the value of the skill players. All of a sudden, it's almost like they're just like, you know what? I think our defense is not good. Maybe we should try to score more. Like, I can't explain it, right? It just felt like there was a different vibe of, like, let the kid cook, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the kind of vibe that we expected all year, right? You knew the defense was going to be porous. So, score some points and be aggressive doing it. I get your quarterback situation, right? So, I understand that. But it felt like we were playing a little bit differently. And maybe that is CJ getting more comfortable. But the general consensus from every fan I talked to was can we get the bye week in like week 2?
Oh my God.
Can we move this up? Because every year we come out of the bye and look like the team we all expected earlier this season. That's just what it's been lately, and it's just.
I'm going to tell you the answer. You got to play the week 0 game. You got to get that bye, right?
Yeah, but we played some chumps and didn't.
No, like we got to like get committed to the Ireland game slot. Just be like, we'll sacrifice one game if it gives us our tune-up bye for week 1. I mean, I think as a conference, it's ridiculous that any team has a bye week this late. Yeah. Like you got it. There's got to be a way to resolve this. Like to that point, right? Like, yeah, there's enough. I mean, we're getting them, and that's the other thing too. It's like you all that way you get bye game bye, or game bye. Like it just makes no sense. And every year it happens to some team. They just get absolutely hammered, and it's at some point it's like you got to be able to call out the hypocrisy of saying, "Oh, the player safety is so important," and then you're like, "Well, let me just let you grind it out for 8 straight games." As you see guys dropping like flies as you get through game 6 and 7. Like, come on, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
What was going on with the kicker? Why was
I don't know. I was at the game and then it didn't really catch what happened with Noonkester and I don't know.
Well, Vincent wasn't even kicking.
Or Vincent, yeah, not Noonkester. I don't know.
I didn't even go back and look. I
forgot.
Honestly, I've been so damn busy. Like this game feels like it was a month ago. But yeah, I remember sitting there thinking, I was like, what on earth is happening on kickoffs? That's the other thing that was weird, man, is we were squibbing them.
The field goals. Yeah.
Yeah. But why were we squibbing them? And then all of a sudden, a couple of scores into the game, we're just booming them through the end zone. And you're like, okay, what?
I don't know. It didn't make any sense to me either, watching that.
What a strange game. And then they always cut away from it, but then they would talk about how there was some altercation going on after every kickoff return. So I guess the special teams guys were feeling it, to put it lightly.
It was chippy, surprisingly. Peyton Wilson got honored. It was funny, and I'm sitting there like he's right in front of us, and he's on the field honored, and he turns around and just starts talking trash to Stanford, and I'm like, dude, has never played Stanford, but just why I love him. Like my 2 favorite NC State players probably of all time, Phillip Rivers and Peyton Wilson, are just the biggest trash talkers. It is hilarious.
Yeah, you could add Jalen Samuels to that. I hear he is a renowned shit talker throughout the whole game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it was fun. It was a fun day. It was fun to watch. I was hoping we would see that all year, right? Just see more of that.
It just felt like the energy was different. O-line seemed to play with a little bit more vigor. Like you said, was Kamen Smith in the whole game, or did McKay come out?
He was not in the whole game. It was late.
Yeah.
The first time I noticed him was on that Smothers run at 52-yarder, I think. And, we've talked about it like ad nauseum on the podcast over the years that we just haven't had any explosive runs. Right? Or I forgot what the number was, but it was like, State uses 20 yards, I think it's explosive plays, and we were talking about like 40 plus. And Smothers has had 6 this year, if I'm not mistaken. And that's crazy.
Yeah, he's good.
I love watching him play. I'm a huge fan.
Also had a oh my god, I know I should have looked up the guy's name. Duke Scott appearance. I was so excited, and then just to see like that lame ass progression of offense that led to that interception, I was like, well, that was not what I was expecting for Duke Scott, so we'll try again later. Yeah. Oh, Lex Thomas, come on.
Oh, Lex.
I thought he was supposed to be a savant.
Tear it up, but he did not. 1 for 2, 12 yards and an INT. And then they just kneeled it out. But
I can't even find it. Has a snap chart come out from this game?
Has it been updated? I know it's out, but I don't. Yeah, it's updated. Who are you looking for?
Oh, I just wanted to take a gander while we were chit-chatting. See how many times I could get upset about Jacoby Baldwin playing.
He had 8 snaps.
Like, I mean, here's the thing. Okay, this is what drives me nuts. Okay, you put Jacoby Baldwin in, and they like flex him out to the hash, like to the boundary, and I'm sitting there going like, you ain't ever throwing it to this guy. Like, it's almost more insulting to him to be like, we're gonna put you out here. No, we're never doing it. We're never throwing it. I was sitting there going, I was like, if it was me and Robert and I would throw it to him right now just to fuck with somebody. But
they got deep in the wide receiver rotation, and Jonathan Taylor still did not get on the field.
I'm guessing he's injured or something's going on.
He was there. He was warming up. He was fine, moving around. I know they're redshirting him, but he's got 2 more games, so I don't know if they're planning on.
I would have thought you'd put him on kickoff at this point, but why do that when you got Kaufman out there just looking?
DK Kaufman, man, I love how he runs. It's so much like Tanner Engel, where he is just like, I'm going as hard as I can right at you.
Yeah,
and that is like, I love that. I love watching him run. That was his 2 returns were awesome.
For a second, I was like, well, because he kept bringing it out, I told my wife, I was like, they must see something in Stanford's coverage. Like, this is aggressive by all, this is not how we do it, right? And then at first I was like, why is Rodgers returning kicks? And then when I realized it was Kaufman, I was just like, I still don't know if I like this. And then finally, when he broke that first one, I was just like, all right, never mind. I accept this. This is worth the risk. Where has this been? I think he did one early in the year against, maybe it was NIU, I think, as well.
He's done it before,
Yeah. Yeah, but it was nice. It was cool just seeing some aggression, just not just waving the hands and going to the 25. So they must have seen something there. So kudos to Goebel on that one.
Yeah, he was awesome. 3 for 164 yards with a 91 yard was long. I mean, that's getting it done.
Man, he was close too. When he was teeter-tottering, I was just like, damn, man, if you had missed upper body day for a few weeks, you would have stayed up right there.
On to Nerd School 3 after Cal and Stanford. Now we got Duke coming to town. NC State is open as a 3-point favorite. I have no idea what the line is right now.
I can't believe that.
Duke is.
They're not good.
They're not good, right? They have had a super easy schedule. They've gotten away with absolute murder in some of these games. But they're still 6-2 or whatever they are, right? 6-3, something like that.
Yeah, 6-3.
And everybody who saw that score, the halftime score at Miami, it was 20-20. You're like, oh crap! Or Duke was leading at one point. You're like, what? What is this? What is happening here? And this game is so weird, and I never really put this together until, I don't know, like 10 years ago when my buddy said, I don't know, man, Duke game's always close. And I went back and looked at it, and outside of 2009 game where we've lost 3 of the last 4, so that's whatever that's worth. The games are almost always close, especially when State wins. So just going back the last few, we lost last one 24-3.
Oh my God! Don't remind me.
What a horrible game that was. We know that.
That should have been the benching of MJ Morris, but I digress.
We won 31-20, lost 20-38, lost 28-49, and then they all get closer by like less than 6 points.
Then they broke Devin Leary.
Yeah, and we just haven't played them. Yeah, the illegal hit takes Devin Leary out. Yeah, like a whole bunch of dumb.
They play us like we're rivals. Like that's the thing is like, and I feel like every time we roll into that game, we're just like, who are you? And, it shouldn't ever be that close. I mean, I remember when, was it Thad Lewis and Dave Cutcliffe just eviscerated us in Tom O'Brien era. And I was just like sitting there. I remember I had been talking shit to my ex-girlfriend's dad before that game. And, never again. I just always, that one scarred me for life. I think I guess it's a 3-point spread. It's like 51 points. So it's like a 24-27 type game. Is what they're predicting. That sounds right to me because, like, the more you think about it, it's like their defense seems pretty decent. I cannot explain why this. Can anyone explain to me what was going on with the defense this game? Like, how was Stanford moving the ball like that? It was. They
didn't really move it that well. I mean,
it was the chunk plays that was infuriating.
My boy Ashton Daniels had 2 long runs.
Even your boy, a converted tight end offensive lineman, like white dude was just chucking us around and blowing up the line. Like, it's just, what is going on, guys? This is Stanford.
Yeah, the chunk plays. But I mean, that's what you expect with this defense. That's what we knew that we're going to do. We're going to give up. We're going to give up points. We're going to give up yards.
It was just the frequency that it was being given up at one moment, and you're just like, oh, right, man, we're 2 scores up. We're about to coast. Oh, wait, never mind. We just gave up 90 yards like that, you know. And then it's like, oh, hey, we're in the red zone. We're going to tighten up. They aren't going to bully us. Boom, they just like waltz right through. And you're just like, okay, all right. It's a little different, you know. I have to give some respect. I thought, you know, Stanford is, I guess, the worst of the worst right now, but at least they play really hard. They didn't seem like they had a lot of quit in them. Like, there's some upside, I guess, in the California teams that I wasn't expecting. And then, of course, SMU just making a mockery of Dave Doran by probably going to the ACC championship game in year 1.
God.
But, you know, hey, you just need more time.
If it's any premonition, my SMU Mustangs in my NCAA 25 dynasty lost the ACC championship last night because
Who were they playing?
In the red zone, App State. It was a custom conference.
Oh, okay. I was like, what's happened?
I lost by 1, missed a field goal at the end of the game. All kinds of dumb. Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, anyway. SMU is tearing through the league. Duke comes in, though, with Malik Murphy, former Texas quarterback, completing about 60% of his passes.
Oh, God, he looks so bad throwing the ball.
Yeah, he does. And Duke just keeps winning. And I don't, it's weird. It's just a weird team this year, and I don't really know what to expect. Mainly because I don't know what to expect from our team, right? Are we going to get this same offensive performance? If so, then I feel all right. But, defensively, I don't know. Can you contain Duke? And that's such a weird thing to say. Like, they don't have anything really explosive other than Star Thomas, I think.
I was about to say, their running back is pretty fun to watch, or at least it was when he was trouncing through UNC.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of looking at their recent scores, right? I mean, they've kept most of their games very low scoring, 24, 20, 23, 28, and then 53 with Miami, right? So, maybe the hope is you look at it and say, well, Florida State stinks, Georgia Tech's not that good right now, UNC, blah. But, they held SMU to 28 points. And I don't know. It's like
I watched that game. SMU turned the ball over 6 times and still won, which is freaking amazing. Just baffling to me.
And because Duke didn't get a 2-point conversion. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then Clemson loses. So now, SMU, Miami are lined up for the ACC championship game, which is just
dark times, man. Just dark times.
Yeah.
But also awesome.
Yeah, whatever.
Like, I mean,
it's not their fault.
That's what I'm saying, right? Is like, let me go back and look. I mean, if I remember right, SMU, did they dodge? Yeah, they dodged. I mean, they had Florida State and Louisville, right? So, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is when the gods bestow upon you a shitty schedule, like, look at what you can do with it. No, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, you have a big team on your schedule that underperforms. The other big team, quote unquote, is Louisville. Like, that's the stars aligning. Also, it just drives me nuts that Louisville is 5th in the league right now. Again, like that program, whatever, paper tiger.
Louisville did to Clemson what I thought we would be able to do.
Yeah,
going into the season, they just pushed them around. They scored. They did all the things that we were hoping we would be able to do.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It's just whatever.
All right.
It's never happening. We're never gonna go to a championship.
This Duke game will be close, so do with that information what you wish. It always is close. I don't know who's going to win. I feel good we're at home. But it's senior day, right? And we know how Dave Doran loves his senior days, and it's so emotional we didn't play well. Yeah, I hate that.
Oh, God, it's senior day? Oh, we're done. We're cooked. Goodbye. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Our last home game.
Is it?
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah, let me click like 10 more times.
At Georgia Tech, at Georgia Tech, at North Carolina. So the nerd tour continues.
Oh my God. You know, if you no, you know, I'm not going to say that. Okay.
The question we got, and I kind of alluded to earlier. Silky Johnson asks, "How much is Bailey's NIL going to cost next year?" And this is a question I got from a billion people.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, give him KC's $60,000 a month, right? I mean, sorry.
I mean, whatever it is.
I'm happy with Jolly, Grimes.
My God, it's Jolie. You're killing me with this shit.
Sorry. God, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Jolie.
It's like Jolene.
I know it is. And I'm reading it and it messed me up. Anyway, Jolie, Grimes, Anderson, Jackson, and Smothers. Like, I'm happy with those guys as my skill position guys.
Did you say Rogers?
And Rogers, right? Even though he's been non-existent, 2 catches, 11 touches. 2 catches, 11 yards.
What? Okay, all right. Are you trying to trigger me? Are you trying to tell me that Noah Rogers isn't good?
I'm just saying he only got 2 touches. So, like, we're not using him. I don't know why I'm not getting the ball, whatever. He's obviously good. We know that, but get him the ball. My point being is that if KC walks, then use that money for CJ Bailey's NIL. But my bigger question was, or my bigger point is, where's he going to go? If you're Miami, Cam Ward's gone. Miami's usually fishing in a bigger pond than CJ Bailey, who is started 5 games at this point. I just think I don't know where you or a starting quarterback at a Power 5 level goes. There's a few schools that would be obviously upgrades, but are those guys coming after CJ Bailey, a CJ Bailey freshman? I don't think so. I really don't. I'm sure somebody will inquire and whatnot, but I just don't know if there's an obvious upgrade for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My thing is, I guess I'd let it sort it out. I don't think we're going to invest in bring in some dramatic offensive line talent. So, the first thing, I guess, if I'm him, I'm kind of looking and saying, what's the line look like next year? Is an eye going to be there? That's the other thing, too, is everyone doesn't like an eye, but, changing OCs again, right, for a young quarterback, that might almost incentivize you to go look around then and say, well, if that's changing, maybe I should go see if my skill set fits elsewhere. But, I don't know. Sometimes I just get the vibe that someone's happy where they are, they're starting, they know they're going to be built around, they know it's not transactional, which is something I would be a little worried about if I transferred to somewhere like Miami or Florida State. We've seen it enough, right? When it doesn't work out, everyone bails.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know what to think. I hear all this doom and gloom about NIL. I feel like it'll get resolved. I'm kind of with you that if Concepcion went elsewhere, it doesn't kill you. Noah Rogers has 25 receptions and 324 yards, and KC has 47 and 395. You can find efficiency. You don't have to do that, but I don't know. Let the chips fall. This is why, again, I feel like if schools were just paying for these players, you wouldn't be having this issue, right? It would be whatever. Here it is. You get your piece of the pie, move on. Instead, it's let's go hit up the fans to go protect our assets, which makes no sense to me, especially in this economy, man. Come on. Think about us. Think about...
Did you see the stock market today? Economy's booming.
Oh, brother. I tell you what. I loved it today.
Moving on.
Well, we can't do our stock hour? Come on. That is the one thing I can definitely praise today. Come on.
And what I don't like about all of this, about the browbeating after a game, whether you win or lose, it's this guy sucks, fire him, or you win and you're like, we're never going to keep him. You guys are bad fans because you need to donate more NIL money. I'm like, holy crap. Can we get through a game? Can we get through a season before you start? Say you want more of this, donate more, right? I saw that message a bunch of times after this game, and it really cheesed me off because I still don't trust that they're going to. It's 8 games into the season, and you're now able to say, see, look what the money can buy us. Look at this. Look at this offense. This is great.
Yeah.
To me, don't don't come out of that game and that's your response is, yeah, let's get our NIL ready. Like, no, the NIL is going to have a problem selling it because of the first 7 games and the performance that they put on the field for the first 7 games, right? If you want somebody to donate NIL, you have to give them a reason to donate to. You have to not just prey on their fanhood, right? You have to give them a reason. And it's going to be a hard sell for folks because I gave you money last year, and this is what you put on the field after claiming a championship team. Like, it's not as easy as just saying, okay, be a good fan and donate. Like, I just refrain from getting into the argument, but it really was. It was everywhere on social media, and it was driving me nuts. Like, just now's the time to donate more. Like, no, because I don't think it's going to make a difference. Right? I mean, I get it. You need players, yes, and if the money's got to come from somewhere, yes. But you need to pump some life into this, and there needs to be some spark that is going to get this going. Now, what's going to happen is they're going to win the next 2 games. They're going to finish 8-4, and basically, look at the rally. Young kids are growing. Donate now. We'll get some more talent. And you're like, mother effers, we do this every year.
Well, I would say this. It certainly helps your cause better to be showcasing the guys that the money brought in. And again, like what you trotted out at the beginning of the year was really frustrating to people that donated that money. And to, again, I mean, just doing stuff like where you're playing a bunch of walk-ons, like you got to understand that if you're doing that and it's not yielding success, it makes people say, what the hell did I just give you XYZ for to get so-and-so when you've got a backup playing tight end for some reason, right? Like I wanted to see nothing but Joe Lee this season. And, you know, so now it's on you. You go in and win the next 2 or 3 games. Okay. And you're showcasing the talent the whole time and trying to be exciting. It'll help. I'm with you. It's like, okay, let's say that Kamen Smith plays the rest of the year and does really well. Kamen Smith was probably not that expensive. So and you've developed him. So you can still just develop guys. It is feasible to have a lot of homegrown and use your money more effectively. I think maybe they're getting a little wiser to market rates, possibly. So, maybe they'll be a little bit smarter. But at the same time, in my opinion, I think it's really silly to sign up to work with some service that's supposed to help you grow your NIL, and they take a 15% cut, and you're not growing your NIL. At some point, you need to turn and say, well, this is not a fortuitous relationship for us. And so I'd like to just see them. I'll just go back and say this like this. The most exciting part of last year was the way they connected with the fans, with the Zoom chats and things like that. It was nice that you sent me this poster over my shoulder here and the swag that came in the box for me signing up for it. You did not have to do that. I'd rather sign up for NIL and get players and, like we were talking about earlier, be able to go buy an experience when I am available to. I'd rather have that than you send me physical items, which was a lot of logistics for you to do. You don't need to do that. I know people are like, I want blah, blah, blah. They want players. And so I might go back and rethink about that and think, hey, why don't we just do the spokesperson thing like we were doing before, get people excited. It shouldn't be this hard.
I don't want to make this whole NIL conversation. I just wanted to point out that it's a stupid thing for people to just start, spouting off of the mouth that you need to donate more just because we won. And hey, look at this. No, I watched 7 games before this and they didn't look this good.
And you know what?
You're gonna have to do more.
I didn't read the article. I don't know if you read it where Narduzzi was basically saying we just retooled how we did NIL and we're much more happy with what we have. He basically was just like, oh, you want that money? Leave, whatever. We'll go get someone else for a lot cheaper that wants to be here kind of attitude. Was the gist. I haven't read through the article, so someone can correct me if I'm wrong afterwards. But it was basically I'm going to stop wasting this money on guys. If you want to negotiate with me, my negotiation is either take what you're getting or go. was the gist I picked up. And, you definitely go back and look at it. It's like, I can't remember his name now, right? The guy that we brought in from Syracuse/Ohio State, right? Left Carter. Just left in the middle of a game. Like, we definitely paid him money.
Again, I don't want to make this an NIL conversation other than the fans need to shut the hell up about it. Like, it's not. We can talk about this at the end of the year. Like, it's just not something that just stop with the nonsense. Like, it's just dumb to be out there and saying, gotta give now. Look at this. Yeah. Look at this. Like, I did. I looked at this. I looked at the 7 games before this. All right. So this is going to go on to the next question, which is, if we win out, do you think we should move on from Doran? I would think so, unless we start having the bye after week 1. Like, winning out is not going to do anything. It's not going to change my opinion on this. Like, I get it. It's 8 games. Great job. It's the same thing every year. I've talked to a lot of State fans over the last few weeks that are not the social media crazies that we see, not the fan message boards, not the pod chat folks. Like, I've talked to a lot of State fans, and every one of them's like, yeah, I'm just ready for something different. And I get it's a risk. Everybody understands that. But at some point, if you're going to get some enthusiasm behind your NIL, you have to sell something, right? And you're going to have a really hard time selling, donate to NIL and get another 8-win season. I'm just telling people, they don't want to hear it, but that's what's going to happen. That's going to be the reaction from folks. It's like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I'll just see what happens. They just need to do something. And doing the same ain't it. It's going to end up, turning over offense coaches and whatnot. I get it. Dave's not going anywhere unless he retires. Just saying, like, it's going to make your NIL selling a whole lot harder if we're just going in with, hey, look, 8-4 is a great season. Yeah, it's not. It's not really. Sorry, ranting.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like kind of how you get there. Yeah, I can get excited if you go. First off, there's no guarantee that we go 8-4 right now. But
no,
if you go 8-4 and you rip it off, right, and you conclude by beating Duke, Georgia Tech, and UNC, the coup de grace, as always, that's great. Are you going to follow it up with a worthwhile bowl to keep the momentum going, right? Like, it's got there. You need a chain effect to kind of get everyone excited going into next year, because sometimes you don't know how good you have it, right? That's what they say. You don't know how good you have it. But at some point, like, 8-4 are cool. Like, I just want to see us meet the expectations, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, exactly. And you're not rallying people to donate and get excited about it if that is if you're okay with that. And that's why I'm for change. I get it's a risk, and I think Dave's a good dude. I think he's done a good job, but he's not. I just don't know if we'll ever get to the expectation level we are. And he set those expectations. They came out talking about championships. They came out talking about the team is legit. This is, we're going to compete for the ACC. We're going to compete for the college football playoff, which, looking at the landscape, you're like, yeah, nobody's that good. You could have done it, right? Your schedule's easy enough. SMU's going to do it basically with the same kind of schedule we had. But they are better than we are in their first year in the ACC, and that is hard to swallow.
And honestly, I think the question, too, is what is the staff going to commit to fix their issue with meeting expectations, right? Like, you've been here long enough. You have had those opportunity seasons have been here a bunch of times, and you've missed. Now, yeah, you had some quarterback injuries and things like that are justifiable excuses. But at the same time, like, by the time Grayson McCall's injured, your championship run was done, right? You had 2 games to prove it, and you didn't. And so I think a real hard look needs to be done there, right? What are we doing that's stopping this? They were probably hyping it up all off season to the team. Maybe evaluate how you handled that, right? Maybe evaluate, like, if you want to start out fast and do something special, right? Maybe throw some tempo out there. Quit trying to bog things down, right? So it's like, if Dave commits to a genuine reflection of, I need to do something different, like, I'm happy to see what happens after going 8-4 and this this scenario. I'm just skeptical at this point, man. It's just been 12 years. It's hard to really convince yourself something's going to change.
Correct. Exactly. And then everybody's out there just donate. Look how great this was. I'm like, dude, no, shut up. Stop it.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I don't know if it's what you're feeling, but it's really exhausting to do this every week, do it multiple times a week. You're thinking about it all season, right? We want to try to put a good product out here on this. We don't really just half-ass and just kind of chit-chat our way through this, but it's just like, if we're just going to keep going 8-4, it's like, do we really need to be spending all our time doing this, right?
Yeah, it's hard.
I'm really tired.
About the same thing all the time, right? And I've felt like this before, and Will and I's stance is, if we're going to just say the same thing over and over again, we're just not going to do it, because I don't think that is enjoyable for folks. And I know people are like, well, I'll put out another episode. I'm like,
I'm glad people like to hear us.
Yeah,
it's really cool. It's really cool. But it's like when a lot is going on in the personal lives, work lives, like we're both really busy, especially me this year. It's like, damn, do we really need to record and talk about how we lost to Wake Forest? Like, I'm about to lose it, kind of thing, But maybe I know we're a release for everyone, but just, I don't know. That's not a great reason to move on from someone, but at the same time, it's just like, damn, I just want to have that upside for a minute. And then just be bitching that I'm not giving money is driving me nuts.
Yeah,
when I do give money
after the game, and it's like, I don't know, man. I couldn't take it, and I refrain from engaging with all of those conversations. But it is super frustrating. That's your first thing you say after this, like, now's a great time to donate to NIL. Like, well, maybe if I believed in what was happening, then maybe I would.
And I feel like we've said this before, but 99% of the problems here for NIL fundraising is that the school is not helping you effectively raise that money. Not giving you the call list, not giving you the donor information, right? Like, there's the scared mentality to be like, oh, instead of us getting billions of dollars right now, we're going to get billions of dollars minus a couple percentage points, which will help us improve our brand, increase the amount of people that come to this school, who then will give us more money because they'll have all these happy moments that they will associate with sports. Like, it seems like it would be the never-ending feeding, do loop of, oh, okay, we just share a little bit of money here. This will bring us bigger success here. And I cannot for the life of me understand why the university is gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to gatekeep, then you do it.
Yeah.
I'd be fine, man. Just send me you send me a fucking mailer every week to donate more money to your school. Why don't you just ask it for the NIL fund for us? Jeez. Sorry. I'm getting a little...
No, you're fine. And to add on to this question, I saw this on Twitter and I saved it. And somebody asked, if you coached and called plays at Ohio State, and talking about Dave Doran, do you think they would be top 3 in the country, top 10, top 25, top 50? I don't know. I mean, top 20 for sure with that talent. Top 10 probably, because they have the talent, but are they winning a championship? I don't know. And that's, I think that's a valid question, right? I mean, I think that's a very... Would
they be more... I feel like it's the personality, but I feel like if he was at Ohio State, right, he would have had more like Harbaugh-style results.
Probably.
Which ended well at some point, right? But at the same time, probably frustrated Michigan for a long time, too. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, what would they be? I mean, I think, honestly, they'd be top 10. I would expect them to be really well. You give him that talent, his defense is going to be amazing.
Yeah. Like
the way he focuses on that, right? And, yeah, I'm sure, honestly, that job is like pre-cooked 90% of the year.
The NIL conversation came up, and there's some Twitter threads you can read if everybody wants to see it. But one of them was a response is that this is most we spent on NIL. Where's the big-time football this year? With this coach, anytime we play big time football, we lose. No point in paying money for something that won't matter. Savage Wolves replied and says, hey, appreciate the support. Send me your name and email address, and I'll send you your money back. I'm like, that is not a great response. Not a great response to that whole conversation. Like, Jesus. I don't know.
Oh, you almost killed me on the spot there with that one.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing is just it's tiresome, and I think everybody else is tired. I know a lot of guys with money, and they're just like, yeah, I'm tired of it. So we're gonna touch on basketball real quick. Yeah, we need to wrap this up too. I'm gonna get Matt Coe on. We'll have some basketball talks later on, but State played UC Upstate, raised the banners. I think everybody thought that was super dope. The banners look cool. They consolidated the ones we had. They removed the NIT banners, which was long overdue. One of the questions we got about basketball after watching the game this week, which players will make the 8-man rotation that we expect NC State to roll with when conference play starts? I don't know because they have 10 guys, I think, that could play, and Mike James didn't even play this game.
I thought you were going to say you don't know because Kevin is erratic with choosing his lineup.
I'm trying to refrain from criticizing Kevin Keats. That's what I told everybody I'd do. But, yeah, there's a bunch of guys on this team that can play. And I like the young guys. Trey Parker looks bouncy. Looks like he can move. Paul McNeil's got a little bit of energy. I don't think he'll settle in a little bit more. I don't think he looked the best. Hatley Huntfield looks like a longer, lankier Richard Howell. And I mean that because he looks angry.
Talk dirty to me.
He looks angry all the time, and he was like going hard. You're like, yeah, I like this guy. This guy's gritty. I don't know. It's going to be more time. Breon Pass actually had his career game, 14 points. I didn't realize he was a senior. Still feels like he's a sophomore. I don't know why.
NIL legend.
Yeah, Breon Pass, the rare fourth-year senior in Power 5 these days. There's just a lot of guys that can play. And, we haven't figured out who's going to be that guy yet. I don't want Jaden Taylor to try to be DJ Horn. I don't think that does any good. Marcus Hill started out slow, and I thought he looked a little bit lethargic. In the second half, he put on some moves. You're like, holy cow, this guy can move, and he can do it. It's too early to tell. There's a lot of guys that can play, and I like that. They're long and they're athletic, and they can kind of play a little bit more like Keats wants to play it, which is faster. I don't know who's going to be the knockdown shooter. O'Connell looked pretty good. But they're still going to be inconsistent with the long game, so they need to play a little bit more vertical. So it's going to be fun to watch. It should be a fun season. It's too early to really answer any questions. They did struggle early on ball defense and some things like that, but again, it's the first game jitters. The one thing that stood out to me the most was Casey Marcel in the color commentary on the TV broadcast was awesome. Like, I thought he was super good. He was giving insight into the program, and I just thought he did a really good job. And I hope, if that's the path he's choosing, I hope he gets more of our games. It'd be really cool to have him call more of our games. So,
yeah, I haven't got to watch any yet, so it's probably on my weekend to-do list to kind of catch up on that. But you kind of hit the one thing that just always scares me is, are we going to have that YOLO inefficient type player that just is going to drive me nuts? Can Taylor kind of play in within himself, I guess, is the question, right? I see it was 1 of 5 from 3, right? That's the kind of thing that I recall was, when you're hot and you're accurate, great, but when you're just jacking it up, I'm not a fan.
The ball moved really well. It didn't get stuck on anybody like it has in the past, like what you're saying. And that was one of the things that stood out. We talked about in the pod chat this week too. Is the ball movement was really good, and it just felt like the team was still everybody was into what they were supposed to be doing. There was no I'm going to be the hero, and that's what you want to see. Those are the kind of things you want to see early on. So all for it. I like watching this team so far. It should be fun to watch. But we're going to wrap this up. Dinner time. Everybody's got stuff to do. Pac plays Duke this weekend. The basketball game Friday night, too. All sorts of good stuff going on. But as always, thanks for listening. Join us in Pod Chat. Go to the website. Hit the membership button. It's cheaper than your lattes. And as always, go Pac.
Yeah, go Pac.